Hello everybody, Teagan here with High Point. Thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's episode of What is in the Night Sky this month. Tonight I'm going to be taking you on a beautiful tour of the night sky in the month of December. We're going to be traveling far outside of our solar system. We're going to check out several beautiful deep sky objects. We're going to bring it closer to home and see what the moon and the planets are up to. So as always, let's buckle in and see what's really out there. So tonight we're going to start off relatively close to home, and we're going to see what our nearest neighbors are doing this month. Venus is now visible for 2 to 3 hours after sunset, with a beautiful crescent moon accompanying it on the 4th. 4 days later, and now at first quarter, the moon catches up to Saturn. Both Saturn and Neptune are sinking towards the west, but you'll find Uranus high in Taurus throughout the evening toward the southeast. Uranus is currently in retrograde and will cross back into Aries on the 29th. Jupiter reaches opposition on the 7th and is joined by the nearly full moon on the 13th and the 14th. Mars is observable from late in the evening and can be seen within the same binocular field of view as the Beehive cluster. The two will be closest on the 3rd and the 4th, when just 2.1 degrees will separate them. Mercury, on the other hand, becomes visible in the pre-dawn twilight from around mid-month and reaches greatest elongation on the 24th. A crescent moon appears very close to Antares and 9 degrees west of Mercury on the 28th. As for the moon is new twice this month on the 1st and 30th, with a full cold moon occurring in the middle of the month on the 15th. Now the planets can be a beautiful sight, but we're going to stick within our solar system and talk a little bit more about the opposition of the biggest planet in our solar system, Jupiter. On December 7th, Jupiter becomes the last of the outer planets to reach opposition this year. It can be found in the eastern half of Taurus and will appear within the same binocular field of view as Aldebaran from the 20th onwards. Shining at a glorious negative 2.8 magnitude, it's far brighter than the magnitude 1.0 star. It is worth appreciating the contrast between the golden light of the planet and the coppery light of Aldebaran. Being in opposition, Jupiter also appears largest through a telescope and boasts an apparent diameter of 48 arcseconds. This allows even small telescopes to see the dark bands of its atmosphere and the shadows casted by its moons. Scopes around 6 inches or larger will also reveal the famous Great Red Spot. Now we are not finished with our solar system yet. Let's check out the Geminids. Unfortunately, 2024 is not a good year for the Geminids, as the moon turns full less than 2 days after the shower reaches its peak. With this in mind, your best bet is probably 3 to 4 hours before dawn on the 14th, when the moon is low in the west. Now for our third stop on this tour, we will be heading outside of our solar system to check out Melotte 20. Melotte 20, or the Alpha Persei moving cluster. Turn your binoculars toward Myrfak, the brightest star in Perseus, and you'll see it surrounded by many fainter blue-white stars. This is the Alpha Persei moving cluster. These relatively young stars, about 60 million years old, form a true cluster that lies 570 light years away. As a reminder, and something that you may have heard on this channel before, if you have the chance to view these kind of star clusters under dark skies, it's highly recommended. Larger telescopes are going to reveal more color, and they're going to reveal more of the fainter stars within this cluster. Open clusters are always a treat in dark skies and are simple for beginner observers. For our next target, we will stay in the constellation of Perseus. Let's check out the star Algol. Beta Persei, or Algol, is a famous eclipsing variable star that noticeably changes brightness from magnitude 2.12 to 3.39 over a period of 2.8 days. You can actually calculate the times of minima at skyandtelescope.org. We will put a link to this in the description below. Now for our final target of December is arguably the most beautiful open cluster in the night sky. It is one of the most famously viewed through binoculars and the most famously photographed. Messier 45, the Pleiades star cluster. The Pleiades are easily seen with the naked eye, even from suburban skies, and a fine sight through almost any binoculars. If observed telescopically, a low-powered wide-angle eyepiece should be used to fit the entire cluster within the field of view. If you do choose to view this target through a telescope, a wide field is definitely recommended. As higher magnification, you will be seeing this cluster in sections. It will be highly magnified, so you're going to have to move the telescope around to get a full view of this cluster. Secondly, if you are photographing this cluster, be sure to use LRGB filters if you're using a monochrome camera, and make sure you don't use a narrowband filter if you're using a one-shot color camera. This is a broadband target. If you want to get those beautiful blue hues that come from this nebula, make sure you're getting under dark skies to really bring out that color. Alright, well that is it for our tour this month. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've ever seen any of these objects through a telescope, or you've viewed any of these objects, please let us know in the comments maybe what kind of equipment you were using, or if you were able to view these under dark skies, how did they look in your telescope? We'd love to hear from you. So with that being said, we thank you again for tuning in. I am Teagan with High Point in Clear Skies.